This is a good place to emphasize whenever I talk, and everybody knows this who's here a lot, I speak on my own behalf, not on behalf of Amazon and Twitch. But I review all these resumes. I probably reviewed 5,000 resumes between my previous career and Amazon. It's a lot. This person wanted to be anonymous, so she anonymized her resume. I'm going to call her China so I can have a way to refer to that. And the reason is when you see her resume, she chose to identify herself as a Chinese female. So we're going to call her China. So welcome, China. Thank you for sending this in. So here's the thing. This cover letter has a lot of good data in it, but I'm going to do this slowly so you all get the point. We're still going. We're still going. We're on page 2. We're still going. This goes in the dustbin, unfortunately. It's full of good data. People barely read cover letters at all. Yeah, someone says in chat, it's too damn long. Unfortunately, that's true. It's much too long. And we're going to get to another cover letter later in the session that's shorter, but not enough shorter. First, if you want people to read it, 1 paragraph, maybe 2. Second, don't count on anybody to read the cover letter. They might, but they probably won't. Third, make the points that are hyper relevant to the company you're writing. You're not going to sell them. This cover letter is an attempt to do your whole interview in a cover letter. And it's not going to happen. Look, this is something I should have said. Resumes have exactly 1 point. And that point is to get you the interview. They have no other point. Resume has no other point than to get an interview. Cover letter has really no other point than to get them to read your resume. So the best cover letter might say, read my resume and I'll give you $10. Maybe not, but seriously, it's just to get people to read the resume and to consider you. You can't make your huge case in it. You're describing why you're relevant to that company, and this is important. People like to hear about why you're interested in them. And so really what you want to have in this is where you have this, please accept my application. Sure, they're going to accept it or not. Who cares? The point is you're trying to say, I want to come to your company for this reason. I'm interested in your company for this reason. Now, hopefully you all can see this. The other thing I want to call out, I'm not going to tear apart this cover letter because I'm basically just throwing the whole thing away. I think it needs to be much shorter, but make believable claims. In the modern world, and I happen to know China's seeking a job in San Francisco, nobody believes that you're going to stay anywhere for 15 years. I have been at Amazon almost 15 years, and in all of Amazon, which is 600,000 people, there are only 2,500 people left of those 600,000 that have been there longer than me, and only 500 in the Seattle office. That's approximate. So nobody stays anywhere 15 years except me, and nobody's going to believe that on the way in. They're expecting that you're going to be gone in 2 or 3 years. Doesn't mean you should be, doesn't mean you have to be, but don't sell stuff like that. Okay, what else? Do I have any more comments on the cover letter? Not really. It needs to be shorter. Let's go to the resume. And we're going to get busy here too. I'll hold it up for the camera. Lots of red. So let's flip over to it. So I have so many points to make here. Apologies if they're not all in order. I'm going to try and go top to bottom, and I'll try and highlight while I do it. So first off, oh, by the way, last time we were streaming, we lost the mic at some point. It died. If that happens again, just tell me in chat and we'll deal with it. We didn't have to restart the stream, but if we do, we'll restart it. First, China is a female Chinese. It's how she chose to identify, by the way. She did the editing. But the first thing I would say is the English way of saying this would be Chinese female. So the point of that is throughout the resume, you'll find a few things where her native tongue comes through. Well, I would try to get rid of that because you're writing to natural English speakers. And so I would have someone who is a native English speaker read through it and guide you to reorder words or anything that communicates it that you're not a native speaker of English, which doesn't mean you're lying about being a native speaker of English. The point of a resume is to make it easy for me to read. And as soon as something pops out that I'm like, oh, must not speak English very well, I have, or must not write English very well, I have a problem. And yeah, somebody says, I can recommend the book, What Color's Your Parachute? It's Rex again. What Color is Your Parachute is on my book list. It's on the website in books, www.theeasycoach.com. And it's the best book on hunting a new job I know of. Anyway, we're going to go on from this because I realized she edited this quickly, and so I'm not going to pick on it, but there are some places the language shows up. If you're not a native speaker of English, have someone who is read your resume for you and correct it. Okay. Still going from the top, China wrote me a few things, and I want to answer the questions she wrote me off the top of my head here. First, her specialty, as you will see in the resume, is mergers and acquisitions, managing director of M&A, head of services and M&A. This is a powerful resume. You're going to see she's a super experienced, highly educated person. She's either willing to work in mergers and acquisitions in her next job, or she's interested in positions in strategy, finance, and program management. Now, something I've made the point before when I've talked to a few people, if you're looking to change roles, recruiters and hiring managers assume that you want to do what you've always done. And if you want to do something other than what you've always done, you have to tell me that. So I assume that you're trying to do what you already do. So if China only wants a job in M&A, no need to make any changes. But when you want to do something else, you got to spell it out. And this is where I would put an objective at the top. If you were applying for a strategy, finance, program management, or any other role, you got to tell people that. So I would have an objective for if I was applying for those. The second thing China asked me is she doesn't currently live. As you can see, she's in the East Coast of the USA and in Asia. So she's in two places at once, which is amazing. But someone just said she's a Harvard grad. So Harvard grads can do that. And we'll talk more about Harvard grads in a second. But she asked me, should I quit my job? Because I've heard from people that to get a job in San Francisco, you have to be there to network locally, and it's not possible otherwise. That is the worst idea I have personally heard. If you could only, and it's whoever gave you the advice, I'm sure was well-intentioned, but if you aren't forced to quit a job before you can find a new one, don't. Because when you're unemployed, people wonder why you're unemployed. And Gunya shall get to the skills section in a second. So I would never quit a job. And the second thing is she said she was told you couldn't get hired remotely. I don't know where that came from. I talk to people all over the US and sometimes the world looking for candidates every day. And we relocate people. I'm in the process of relocating someone. Someone at China's level would get relocated in a heartbeat by a company, lots of expenses paid. But my point is it's super common. We have a whole group that does nothing but manage relocating high-level employees. Now, we'll talk later. If you want a job in construction, if you want a job in something entry-level, yeah, you may have to move yourself there first because no one's going to relocate you across the country to do customer service and to answer phones or something like that. It's not going to happen. Big companies relocate you, smaller companies don't. So, generally speaking, although I've been relocated by startups as well. All right, so that covers her questions. Keep your job, use it as leverage. For a reader, the skills section doesn't get read very much. Chat says, and I get this, that it's good for search engines. Maybe. Most of those skills, though, should also already appear or be mentioned in your bullets. So what you're basically saying is I'm opening my resume for a human like me who's ultimately going to decide about it with a bunch of stuff that's optimized for SEO. And I wouldn't do that. Somebody asked, what do you mean relocating by a company? It means if she gets hired, the company will pay for her move. They'll pay to sell her house. They'll pay to move her stuff. They'll pay for corporate housing. That's what relocated by a company means. Okay. So look, let's go to the fun part. Somebody already talked about this. What I like about this resume, because so far I've said only critical things, is the Harvard University part. If you have the good luck to have gone to Harvard, stick that like she did in bold type right at the top. You've gone to potentially what is considered the foremost university on earth. Brag about it. So one of the people who helps me out on the channel also went to Harvard. And when she was looking for a job once, I said, let's assume her name was China. I would practically go to my interview and I would say, hello, Harvard. I'm Harvard, China, Harvard. It's that powerful. When you have an asset that's that powerful, make something of it. Someone else asked me in an interview how much experience at a great company would help you. So let's say I'd worked at Google. I would find a way, like in my objective, to put it right up front and say, look, my objective is to leverage the skills I learned at Google, leverage my skills I learned at Google to help other companies. I would find a way to sell that right away. All right, so not everybody's gone to Harvard, but China did, and that's fantastic. And she had a research fellowship. She's got multiple degrees, applied math, economics, and math. China's pretty smart. Like, I'm impressed already. Let's scroll down, though, and talk about some stuff here that's fun. So in her current role, this is a big role, right? Managing Director of Mergers and Acquisition and Business Development. Now, normally, and by the way, most larger companies, I see some people in chat saying, well, just stick Harvard on your resume. We do check. And you might get away with claiming accreditation at a low-level job. For a job like this, they're going to run a background check, and then you're sunk. So I'd be careful. I've seen people fired for, fudging their resume in the wrong way. Okay. Look, the thing I like here, right? She's got experience working in Asia. We'll skip to the bottom in a minute. She's got another golden skill, which is fluency in Mandarin. So the fluency in Mandarin is incredibly valuable around the world, and I would sell that. And so I'd be sure to try to put that. What's not in here, and I'm sorry it took me a minute to get to the point, nothing in here screams international experience other than the fact that obviously when this is written out, it says Acme Inc. and like Singapore or whatever. I would call out international experience somewhere in this because that's incredibly valuable. And I might even put that it's not up in the skills anywhere. I'd find a way to highlight international work experience, particularly because the China business economy is so hot right now. It says, what about, chat says, what about other languages like French, for example? You can go ahead and put questions in the tool and we'll get to them in the order desired. Please put them in the extension and we'll upvote, downvote. Thank you for that. So let's keep going. But I would definitely highlight that international experience. Now, what else is missing here? There are no results or impact in here. So when we were talking about Kevin's resume a few minutes ago, and we were all about it, the words, everything started with an action word. Nothing here starts with an action word. Negotiating, kind of. Negotiating cross-border does talk a little bit to international, but there's no results and there's no impact. There's nothing in here that says what China has really done for her company that comes out of this. There's nothing that screams, I made a difference. Now we're going to get to where she does have some of those differences in her resume, but they're not up top. And this is a good place for me to make a point. The point of the resume is to get people to keep reading enough to interview you. So every line on your resume has to earn them keeping reading. I made this. Yup. You have to earn people reading on. So Harvard earns me reading on. Fortune 500, whatever the name is, it'd be recognizable, earns me reading on. Managing Director of Mergers and Acquisition and Business Development earns me reading on. What doesn't earn me reading on is then some of the rest of this. It's descriptive, but it's also a little happy talk. Happy talk doesn't get you anything. What's happy talk? Sourcing and executing mergers and acquisitions, parentheses M&A, while cultivating highly strategic partnerships to create vertically integrated capabilities and IP. I would make fun of this and say, what the hell does that mean? But the people reading a resume like this for M&A absolutely will know what it means. The problem is it doesn't say anything. It doesn't make a statement about the results that were accomplished. It's, well, I worked on M&A and I cultivating highly strategic partnerships. Who couldn't say that? How do I prove or disprove that? If I want to measure China on whether or not she cultivated highly strategic partnerships, how do I do that? A different way to say it is built a relationship with company foo and company bar, or signed a deal with, or acquired somebody. Those are outcomes and results. Now, she's only been there part of a year, maybe a full year. So let's go somewhere where she had a long time, 2013 to 2018. Head of Services, M&A, and Growth. So she was in the Midwest. I'm an Ohioan. We've talked about that before. So God bless the Midwest. It's why we're all somewhere else. But look, here they start to get some results. So she took out the numbers, and that's fine for this copy, but aimed at XX revenue growth to XX billion. Now we're starting to get specific. But still, we're missing key data because this says aimed at. Aimed at, does that mean you did it or not? What were the results? I'm going to hire somebody who gets results. Yeah, Awesome Dave. Awesome Dave's from Ohio like me. But I'll point out, Awesome Dave's in Seattle with me too. So, let him answer for that in chat. We still don't have a lot of results here. Delivered a mandate. Invested in, defined and matured. I'm dying here for an accomplishment. What actually happened? Did you make my company money? Did you buy something? Did you sign something? I'm dying for something that got done. Invested in organic capabilities that accelerate existing service offerings for proprietary and competitor platforms. Unfortunately, anyone could write this about anything. I could write it about my job. You could write it about any industry. You got to take this stuff out and be specific. You want results. You want things. This is the thing. What job couldn't this be written about? My stepson works at McDonald's. He could probably say he invested in organic capabilities, that's hamburgers, that accelerate existing service offerings, that's cooking them on the grill so they can serve them, for proprietary and competing platforms. Well, that's a little tougher because he didn't sell them at Wendy's too. But you gotta, my point is, this is very non-specific. It's happy talk. All right. Secured manager of data science applications. We'll keep going down here. Actually, I want to go back for a second. We do finally get to some results, and I've been very given a lot of feedback. I've been critical so far. When we switched from M&A to data science and analytics, suddenly China has lots of actual firm results. Led and managed a global team of 50 data scientists. We get a number. X billion of operating cash in 2016. We get a number. Launched a product suite at the air show. This is something she did. Launched a product suite at the air show. Now we're specific. We're finally getting the things I know she did. That's what we're after. All right, booking on down here. So we won't spend too much more time on this because I've said a lot. The interesting thing is, again, in Portfolio Manager, it starts to sound really cool. Like I oversaw some number of billions in assets. Okay, that sounds hard. That sounds like you were really trusted. What it doesn't tell me is how did those do? And so here's another rule. If you don't, and I didn't notice the cheer go by the way. Thank you, Benita, for the 1,000 bits. That's really appreciated. Those go to support our operation here and then the Washington Trails Association, the charity I'm a part of. So look, here we have that she oversaw billions in assets, but I don't know if she lost it, right? So someone in chat, being a wise person, said, hey, I oversaw $5 billion, but I lost $3 billion. Well, of course, I doubt that's what China did. Remember the Harvard education, and she's very smart. But you're right to suspect that. If someone doesn't tell you what they did when it's obvious that it might be possible to say it, you suspect they screwed it up. And that's why it's not there. Because people are looking for reasons to throw resumes out. And that's sad, but true. All right, so we've kind of gotten through a lot of this, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to swap over to look at questions for a minute. Okay, we have some questions that are way upvoted. I'll take this first one real quick. Is the rule still a one-page resume, or is that not a thing with modern era and online forms? I don't think it's a thing. One-page resumes are great. I think China's resume that's 2 pages could be great. But what you don't want is a 5-page resume. It's the same thing. And by the way, China is ThinkPad Tai here in chat, and she's apparently happy with the review I did of her resume, even though it was firm. I want to say to her, by the way, thank you for sending it in, and thank you for appreciating the fact that I just spent, 20 minutes taking it apart. You have incredible experience. People should be falling over themselves to hire you in San Francisco. And if they're not, Terry, if they're not falling over themselves to hire you in San Francisco, I think if you change your resume and change your approach a little bit, they will be. And there's a couple people I could introduce you to that might be able to help. But if you can really back up what your resume says in an interview, you'll be in San Francisco, all expenses paid, very quickly. So we're going to jump on to the next question, and a ton of people voted for it. It'll pop up here in a second, which is, how do us plebes with no work experience get that first internship? Good question. If you have no work experience but you're looking for an internship, maybe you're in school. First, universities charge you a ton of money, and they have career placement centers and they have career fairs. Use the hell out of that. Second, go to your school, talk to employers, find out which ones have internship programs, and apply all over the place. Third, network and talk to previous interns. There should be people in the older class who intern places. They can recommend you in or tell you how to do it. So basically, if you're in your school, just like anywhere else, it's all about networking. Talk to previous interns, talk to the companies, learn how to apply, go through their systems, be early. There's a bunch of stuff you have to do, but you can do it and get the results you want. Now, if you're interning and you don't have a college to work through, or your career center isn't helping, the classic way to get an internship is go work for free. Even if that means flipping burgers at night while you do the internship in the day, you knock on doors and you talk to people and you say, look, I need experience. I'll give you my time. What can I do so that I can learn? I want to learn. I'll stay out of the way. I want to make an impact, but I need an opportunity. Can I work here for the summer? Is it possible to have an unpaid internship? I can support myself. Even if support myself means, again, you're going to work the nights at the burger joint. Now, you don't have to start there. You can shoot for a paid internship. But if you're not getting something, you need work experience. Look, work experience is easy. Go work. You can work somewhere for free. People generally will take free work. As long as you have some skill. Now, if you have no skill in anything, you're probably not going to get an internship. That's where you got to go get some skills. So that's kind of the order of how I go about it. But if you're in school, go through school and use those resources. And the reason those companies, those universities, most of which are companies, by the way, will bust their butts to get you an internship is parents only pay for schools with high placement rates that get people good jobs, and alumni who get good jobs have tons of money to give back to the schools. So they want to place you. It's really important to them, and they'll kill themselves to get it done right. Let them do it for you. You got to do the work and interview well. Okay, I beat that to death. Let's go to the next question, and then we'll go back to resumes because it's going to be a long show tonight. So, how much do cover letters matter? And if it's a lot, what are some important things to having a good one? I personally have never read one for any of the people I've hired. So whoever asked this question answered their own question. Nobody reads them. They might get read by the recruiter. They might get read by really diligent hiring managers at small companies. To give you an example, I only get resumes through a system at Amazon. So the recruiter gets them, they put them in the system, they send them to me. There's no place for a cover letter. Even if the recruiter loved your cover letter, maybe, I never saw it. I can't see it. I have no idea you wrote it. So it's about as, I would spend 99% of your time on your resume and your skills and 1% on a cover letter, which I'd put in an email. The systems hate them and strip them out. I realize, by the way, that's the old way. Like in paper resumes, a nice cover letter on nice linen paper was the way it was done. And maybe if you're in a specialized field, like a lawyer, maybe it's expected. I don't know. Maybe there's certain fields where it's the practice. But at least in tech, I can't think of a time I've ever had a cover letter influence my decision. So we'll do one more question, and then we're headed to the next resume. So the next question is, what's the ideal number of bullet points one should put for each job? Should this number vary for current and past jobs? Yes and yes. So I don't know what an ideal number of bullets is. I have no idea. What I do know is that it shouldn't be too many, but the important thing is to tell your story. So if you're going to write long bullets, like China's resume that's here has some longer bullets, they're multi-line, you're going to need fewer. We're going to see a resume in a bit where every bullet is one line. You can have a couple more. The key is drive to the point. What were you responsible for? What did you do? What results and value did you create? What skills did you learn? So that's what you're after. And if you can get that and spit it out, the quicker the better. Mark Twain is often cited as having said, if I'd have had more time, this letter would have been shorter. The point was, it doesn't take any brains at all to blather on, but I don't have time for it, so I go to the resume of the person who can explain it to me very briefly. And that's what you're after.